Ryan Poles, while not having made a splash move yet in offseason, has made functional moves. And one of the things with the Bears is that they're right up against the salary cap. On today's episode, I'm going to talk about all the restructuring that the Chicago Bears can do with the contracts currently on the roster, create some considerable cap space to where even if they do want to make a splash move, it's not necessarily on the table. We're also going to look at how the national media has rated the Chicago Bears offseason moves so far. And we got updates with Caleb Williams and some other things. We're going to get into all that and more right after this. What's going on, Bears fans? Welcome to another episode of Chicago Bears Central, your number one spot for everything Chicago Bears related. I'm the host here, Haize, but more importantly, you guys can follow the channel at Chi Bears Central on every social media platform we happen to be on. With that said, let's go and get into this content for today, y'all. And everything's still built around free agency. The Chicago Bears, who have quieted a lot in free agency, did sign Jack Sanborn yesterday, so shout out to Jack Sanborn coming back to the Chicago Bears. I like the acquisition and signing there. But the Chicago Bears are right up against the salary cap. As a matter of fact, Adam Schefter was on the Get Up yesterday where Greeny said this: the Bears don't have any more money right now. They're out of money. The Bears do not have the money to make a move like that right now. So they were asking about the Bears making a splash signing. And you guys know, I've been, fairly consistent in telling you guys the fact that don't expect a big splash signing from the Chicago Bears this offseason. And that's perfectly fine. I know that's not something that everybody agrees with. Some fans, they want to see the big names and those type of things. But good teams, and when you really look at the good teams around the NFL, they have functional off seasons. That's the thing. It's not about the names. It's about the players that you get in here. But with the Chicago Bears making all the signings that they did, keep in mind the Jack Sanborn signing isn't officially on the books right now, and the Chicago Bears only have $213,000 in cap space right now. So I do want to take a look at what the Chicago Bears and how they can restructure. This is per over the cap, right, to create some cap space. So the Bears can extend Joe Thuney to get an additional $12.6 million in cap space. They can extend Jonah Jackson as well to get another $11 million in cap space. And they can extend or restructure TJ Edwards, which would create $5.7 million in cap space or $3.6 million in a restructure. The 5.7 is if they extend him. If you restructure cornerback Kyler Gordon, who's still early on in his new deal, that's $6 million. If you restructure Dayo Odeyingbo, who has a cap hit of $20 million, you save $7.4 million there. You can also restructure Montez Sweat for another $9.8 million. And then tight end Cole Kmet for $7 million. If you extend him, you get that in cap space. You get $4 million in cap space if you were to restructure him. And then if you extend cornerback Jaylon Johnson, if you restructure Jaylon Johnson and restructure Grady Jarrett, that creates a little over $6 million each for those restructures. So when you look at that, if the Bears just did the first four moves, extend Thuney, Jackson, and Edwards, and then restructure Kyler Gordon, they're going to create $35 million in cap space real quick if they're able to do that, right? If you also restructure or extend Cole Kmet, you can then get up to about close to $40 million in cap space if you decide to do that. So the Bears have a lane here to add some considerable cap space, and that's good. Now, I'm not saying that that's going to be for a splash move. The good thing is that they have that option. If a team comes calling and saying, hey, Chicago, we want to do some business with you, the Bears have the opportunity to create some cap space and go after a big splash if they decide to do so. At this point in the offseason, though, it seems like the Bears are going to be more focused for the draft, right? And you still have to create draft space. With the Bears draft picks, especially now with the additional second-round pick, the Bears their draft picks are going to be about between $11 and $12 million. So you have to create that at least, right? So the Bears are going to restructure or extend somebody just to create that money, which is good. That's what the Bears need to do. But it also adds flexibility going into the season. I've talked a lot about how, the Bears move so far add flexibility schematically on the football field, which is good. But you also want flexibility with your books, because what that allows is that it allows Ryan Poles, if a midseason acquisition comes up or a trade comes up before the trade deadline, the Bears can restructure. They can still restructure and go after that. So there's still opportunities for the Bears to get that done if and when they need to. So that's the thing that leave up here. While the Bears didn't make the splash move now, while they didn't make the big trade now that some Bears fans want, just get through the draft And then at that point during the season, that flexibility is still there if something does pop up. And we know that Ryan Poles is not against making midseason acquisitions if he feels like the team needs something. He's done that before when the team wasn't even good and he felt like they needed something. So, flexibility continues to be the thing that this team is really built on. And the thing that Ryan Poles and his front office has really built this team on is flexibility on the field, flexibility off the field, just leaving yourself open to where you can make adjustments where you need to. Now, you have to make the right decisions in that, but it's good to just know, and I think some people needed to hear that because, like me, I've talked a lot about how the Bears are right up against the salary cap, right? Even over it to a degree. I've talked about that, right? But I don't want to make that think that things can't still get done if and when they need to, right? So I don't want to set the expectation that a big splash move's coming or anything like that because I still don't think that that's very likely for the Chicago Bears team if I'm keeping it 100. But the flexibility is there if something does, and if Ryan Poles and these guys are keeping their head on a swivel and looking out for deals that could drastically improve this team, because keep in mind, this is still a team that is going to need to make some improvements in some places. It's still going to be a team that is still trying to take the next step up. The NFC North got better. And we know it's the deepest division in football. You're going to continually need to evolve and grow. Right now, I'm a little bit more patient than I realize than some when it comes down to the Chicago Bears and not making the splash signings and even looking to improve and getting starters in the draft. I've realized that in the way that I've talked about it through the last few episodes and some of the responses in the comments that we've gotten. But again, I say this: good teams don't just target splash signings. Good teams either develop, they draft well, and they make structured signings that make sense to the team without putting you in a financial bind. That's what every great team that sustains success over time does, and that's the reality of it here for the Chicago Bears. So, we'll see what happens here. The Bears have an opportunity, and that's really all you can hope for is that you make the most of the situation that you're in. And Ryan Poles has done a fair to good job at doing that so far. We just got to see that if that's going to continue for Ryan Poles and the team. And if it does, great, right? No harm, no foul in regards to that. So, let's see what he does. But the Bears do have still ways to create tons of cap space if they need to. They're not going to redo all those, right? I didn't want to push that as something to say that the Bears are going to do all these moves, but it is something that's at their disposal if and when they need to so that they can keep, having the flexibility to add to this team if they need to. So, but with that said, I want to flip it now and look at how some of the national media is grading the Chicago Bears so far. Now, you guys know I love the national media. I think that they have a bias when it comes to Chicago. A lot of the energy is not kept the same by some of the talking heads in national media when it comes to judging some of the moves that the Bears do versus some of the things that the other teams do. Even look at it. The Bears had what was considered a great season, but there's more doubt around them, even though they've lost some players that are on the defense, so the defense wasn't good, but it's just the reality of it, right? But for what it's worth, the Bears' offseason is being graded fairly optimistically by most of these outlets. Let's start off with Pro Football Focus, right? Who graded the Chicago Bears a B on the season so far, in the offseason so far, saying this: Bryant has developed into a solid starting safety over the past 2 years and should be a good fit for the Bears. He earned a 68 PFF coverage grade in 2024, 67.2 in 2025, powered by 4 interceptions, 4 pass breakups this season. The one concern is that he's missed a lot of tackles, leading to an 18.7% missed tackle rate in 2025. The Bears immediately replaced Tremaine Edmunds, who they released with Bush, who revived his career in Cleveland. So what PFF is talking about there is they bring up actually a great point. Coby Bryant, who is by all means, most of these one that we're going to talk about is talked about as a good signing for the Chicago Bears. That missed tackle rate, that's going to be something to watch in 2026 for him to see if that's something that was it a blip in the pan or is it something that continues here? Because as we know, missed tackles for the Chicago Bears, that's not good, right? Especially not when you're in the secondary. So we'll see there. The Devin Bush acquisition, we know Devin Bush is coming in to replace Tremaine Edmunds, and it's basically right there, if not better than Tremaine Edmunds in most of the coverage areas, which is where Dennis Allen is really going to try to get special with how he uses Devin Bush is in coverage. But for what it's worth, PFF gave the Chicago Bears a B on the offseason so far. CBS Sports also gave the Chicago Bears a B, saying this: Drew Dalman's surprise retirement put the Bears in a bind, but they moved quickly to fill that spot with Bradbury. That there's certainly a drop-off. Pro Football Focus ranked Dalman as the 7th best center with a 72.6 grade, and Bradbury was 29th out of 37 qualified centers with a 59.8 grade. They also go on to say that Coby Bryant was exactly what the Chicago Bears secondary needed. He's a versatile back who began his pro career as a slot corner. So here's the thing, right? the Drew Dalman thing was something that caught everybody by surprise, right? It was a shock. But the Bears getting Garrett Bradbury in here, a guy that doesn't allow sacks for real, he doesn't turn the ball over, he doesn't get penalties, right? Is good. Now this is why when you look at the fall off that's there, this is why I've been in my mock draft have the Chicago Bears going after center of the future in this draft. Not to say that Bradbury won't be here for a while, maybe as a backup and things like that, but I do think it is something to look at there. But there you go. Yahoo Sports also ranked the Chicago Bears a B, saying this: the Bears haven't made a huge splash, but made a few additions to the defense. Devin Bush replaces Tremaine Edmunds at linebacker, and that should be an upgrade. Coby Bryant is a nice addition at safety. The Bears traded DJ Moore, but he wasn't a big part of the offense last season, and Chicago got a second-round pick for him. It seems like there could be a big swing move coming for Chicago, but that's what they've done so far. Now, I don't know about the big swing, but I agree with Yahoo Sports about what they said here. I think the Bears have made some really solid acquisitions, but the offseason is not done. NBC Sports, though, gave the Chicago Bears an A grade, saying this: as expected, the Bears primarily addressed defense in free agency, signing Coby Bryant, Devin Bush. Bryant, a former fourth-round pick in Chicago, slowly earned more work every year with the Seahawks. In Seattle, I said Chicago. He took the field for 95% of their defensive snaps in 15 games last year. Bush similarly took a while to find his footing in the NFL, but he was object disaster on his rookie contract in Pittsburgh, and things didn't get much better during a one-year stint in Seattle. Things finally clicked in Cleveland, and PFF graded him as their number 4 linebacker. So, hey, very favorable on the Chicago Bears moves there. Sporting News gave the Chicago Bears a B+, saying the Bears remixed their secondary with Bryant and not bringing back Byard, Brisker, or Wright. Bush's big get in the coverage to upgrade over Edmunds. Bradbury is a nice recovery from Ryan Poles after losing Dalman. Willis is an intriguing flyer at left tackle, too. Pretty much agree there. The Jedrick Willis acquisition could end up being one of the best underrated signings of the offseason if he gets back to what he was as a top 10 pick. Pro Football Sports Network ranked the Chicago Bears an A-, saying Chicago has taken a proactive approach to the opening phase of the 2026 offseason, making several calculated moves to reshape key areas of the roster on both sides. On offense, the Bears made a key move along the offensive line, trading with New England Patriots for center Garrett Bradbury. The veteran presence arrives at an important time following the unexpected retirement of Drew Dalman. So another good grade for the Chicago Bears there, and that rounds it out. So overall, the Bears didn't get anything lower than a B, which I hope some Bears fans realize. Stop your whining and complaining about it not being a big splash move. Again, it's such a casual thing to think that you only need casual moves to improve your team. But that's just my thought process. We'll see how that's going to work out for the Chicago Bears. But as it looks, for once, the Chicago Bears offseason has looked pretty favorably. And if Ryan Poles can knock it out in the draft like he did last year, we're cooking. We are cooking if the Bears have another draft like they did last year, even a fraction of the draft that they did last year. Of course, Dennis Allen is hoping that they do, because if he can get those starters in the draft, those young players that he can guide, he can mold, those type of things, those are when things start really looking up for the Chicago Bears in the future and in the present. And let's see if the Chicago Bears can do that. But with that said, Caleb Williams, I just wanted to point this out. Caleb Williams who got the Iceman nickname, is now looking to file trademarks, right? He's filing trademarks on that, which, hey, if he's able to get that, great. He's able to get that, great, right? It was a great 2025 season for him. He still has things that he needs to get together, right? But for what it's worth, it looks like Caleb Williams is trying to take advantage of that, and he should. He filed trademark applications to protect the nickname Iceman, which is good. And I have the T-shirt of the silhouette of him in there, so that's really good. Just get that. It's a silhouette of him in that game-winning throw over the Green Bay Packers in the playoffs. So that's really good. So we'll see if he's going to be able to get that trademark. If he gets that, that's going to be really good for Caleb Williams. So Caleb is just looking to capitalize like most quarterbacks can. But outside of that, this is what I want, and I love that Caleb Williams has also talked about kind of getting away from the Iceman moniker. Like, it's great having a nickname for yourself and earning it on the football field. That's what this is all about. That's what we do this for, right? It's not like it's something that was just given to him that he didn't earn. No, he earned that with how he performed in the fourth quarters. But here's my challenge for Caleb Williams. I know it's the whole 65% whatever completion percentage. If he can get to that, all that type of stuff, that's all great. But I want to see the Iceman more, to where we don't just need it in the fourth quarter. I want to see that version of Caleb Williams throughout more games this offseason. I mean, this season, upcoming season. And if we can get that, listen, imagine if what we saw from the Bears offense and Caleb Williams at time in the fourth quarter, imagine if we see that throughout the entirety of games more times than not. Imagine if we get 10 to 11 games of him playing a full 4 quarters like that. Like, just imagine that, right? Now, you don't win every game that you're supposed to win by the way you play. You don't lose every game the way that you lose, or that you're supposed to lose by the way that you play. But at the end of the day, we'll see, right? Now, Caleb Williams is not going to have any problems trademarking the silhouette to the throw to Romo Dunze. That's going to be him. It's him making the play. He's going to get that. The Iceman, though, could be more challenging because, again, you look at Val Kilmer's character in Top Gun, who had that. He had the name of Iceman. It's been used a lot before. So we'll see if he can actually get that. But this just goes to show Caleb Williams is just a smart businessman again, and being advised by pretty smart people as well that he went ahead and tried to do that. So we're going to see what happens with Caleb Williams getting those trademarks. But like I said, more importantly on the football field, I want to see Caleb Williams have a season where he silences doubters further. Because if Caleb Williams gets that completion percentage up, and based off the numbers that he had with the completion percentage that he had last year, you're talking about an MVP caliber player. You're talking about a player that is probably going to be MVP candidate if he's able to do that. And we'll see if he can. If he can, great. If not, then, no harm, no foul in regards to that. But hopefully he can because, listen, this is the Bears franchise quarterback. I would love to see him go out there and play like one. So we're going to see what happens with that. Let's get into the last topic of the day before we get up out of here. Courtney Cronin reported that the Chicago Bears could still make a big move this offseason, right? She did predict that the Chicago Bears are going to make a move that makes fans very happy, saying this. GM Ryan Poles confirmed that the team was involved in talks about trading for Raiders defensive end Max Crosby, but holding on to their draft capital took them out of the running. The same goes for being conscious with their spending, knowing they have several extensions on the horizon, starting with right tackle Darnell Wright, and not shelling out big contracts for the pass rushers who are available free agents. What's to take away from that? That Darnell Wright is probably going to be getting his extension soon, which we all kind of knew and expected, right? Darnell Wright can get his extension during the season. Caleb Williams can get his extension this time next year. And those are two major extensions for the Chicago Bears because those are two picks that the Bears absolutely nailed. Darnell Wright was the right pick. As many people talked about the Jalen Carter and the Bears passing of that to get Darnell Wright and getting the pick that became Javon Dexter, at the end of the day, they did it right. And Darnell Wright is a guy that does deserve a contract extension. When you talk about how Dan Rouchard talked about Darnell Wright, when he's basically addressing the offensive line and talked about question marks and nameless players and faceless players being places, but he said, but him, Darnell? Oh no, Darnell's going to be here, right? Like him saying that shows you the light that he holds Darnell Wright in. Now, he's in his third year, right? He was on a $20 million rookie scout contract. And so that's when he was the 10th overall pick. So now, the fact that you're looking to probably get him on a new deal, it's going to be expensive because you know that the cost that good tackles get in the NFL, right? But, we talked about it, restructures to guys like Cole Kmet, DeAndre Swift, that's going to come to this as well. But Darnell Wright is going to be a guy that does get an extension at this point this season. And now we'll see what that means and what the expectation that sets for Darnell Wright. Darnell Wright he's been here when the offensive line was god-awful and trash. He's now gotten to be here to see the turnaround of the offensive line when you add additional veterans to that and another promising rookie in Ozzie Trapillo who's going to miss a lot of the season. But he got to see that, and he's seen throughout that. And Darnell Wright has been through so much already in his NFL career as far as coaching changes, those type of things, and seen it. But he's transcended all of that. He's found a way to be productive and to stand out through whatever was going on with the Chicago Bears and show that he deserves to be a part of this future for this team. So getting this extension for Darnell Wright and thus eventually for Caleb Williams as well, that's what you want to see. You want your team to draft players that you look at and you're like, yeah, they're going to get their extension. There's no question about that. We've had enough of players that when it come down to time for their extension, we question on if they're going to get it, should they get it, and how much. Darnell Wright is going to get paid. And I would not be surprised if his extension puts him probably in the top 10 to 12, maybe even top 15, if you want to go low as far as paid tackles in the league. And that is part of the reason why you've seen the Chicago Bears not go after the big splashes, because they have to think about those type of things when they're making their moves as well. You got to keep guys like Darnell Wright. We just saw a mass exodus to players that were starters. Guys like Darnell Wright you have to hold on to. And it seems like Ryan Poles is keeping that in mind with what he's doing, how he's moving, how he's maneuvering this offseason, and how that sets up for the future as well. And that's all you really want. That's all you really want from this one. So we'll see how that continues for the Bears. We'll see how that continues for this team. But Darnell Wright, do not be surprised if you hear him getting his contract extension, much like probably after training camp, sometime between then, the preseason and the preseason ending and the regular season starting, somewhere in there is probably when you're going to get that announced, and Darnell Wright has earned that. But let me know you guys' thoughts down below. When you hear about Darnell Wright's extension, what money How much money would you put on that? What would be what you'd be willing to pay and not think as an overpay or underpay for Darnell Wright to retain him? Let me know what you guys think on that one down below. But that's going to do it for today's episode. The Bears have not dominated the headlines this offseason, but they walked away from free agency basically getting solid grades and winning it all across the board for what they needed to do. And that was all with limited cap space. Ryan Poles is going to have to continue to get creative, though, because we can't be done in what we need this offseason. So whether it's contract restructures, extensions, or letting the draft do the heavy lifting for the rest of the way this offseason, something's still coming. So I want to hear from you guys down below. What's your grade on the Chicago Bears offseason so far? Let me know that down below. Make sure you guys like the video, subscribe to the channel. You can follow us at Chi Bears Central on every social media platform. You can send us any feedback, questions, comments, concerns. ChicagoBearsCentral@gmail.com. And lastly, if you want to leave a text message and or voicemail for the mailbag, the number to do so, 773-242-9336. We are the #1 spot for everything Chicago Bears related, but that's thanks to you, lovely and beautiful people. And like I like to end every episode on, Chi-Town up, but bear down. Love you guys. Peace, y'all.
This has been a presentation of the Break Media.